guys, and welcome back to Couch Chronicles. I have to make this video really fast because I don't have my charger. The battery's about to die. Hubby has the charger in the car and he's going to work. How convenient is that, right? So anyway, I want to kind of talk about something and it just kind of hit me the other day. And basically I want to talk about that I never knew that there were, so many other women that was like me that wanted a baby as bad as me. I know I talked about previously, there go to Nat. I know I talked about previously how there's women out there that want a baby and stuff like that, and how we all feel the same way. And it just, I don't know, it's something that just rang to me whenever I the other day, I don't know, I was sitting there and I think I was watching TV or something, and it was something I was watching, and a woman was just talking about how much she wanted a baby and stuff like that, and it just came to mind. So anyway, growing up, I used to always say I wanted to be a mom. I used to say I wanted 5 kids. I used to say, I couldn't wait to have this, have that. I used to name them. I knew my whole list of names of all my kids, of what I was going to have. I mean, I had it planned to the T. And the minute I found out that, I was going to have IVF, I really thought that there was going to be no chance for me to have kids naturally. When I first was, diagnosed and said that, you have to have this to get this done to have a baby, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. It's a lot, and it was at the time, it was a lot to swallow. Oh, your tubes, you have to have that removed. Oh, you have fibroids, we have to have that removed. Oh, we need to go ahead and do a DNC on you to remove this scarring tissue or this much tissue, this and that. And I mean, it was like surgery after surgery, back to back after back to back to doctor's appointments, telling you, oh, well, the one tube you do have is 40% working, it might work, and you sitting there hoping for the best and nothing's happening. And at that time, it's a lot to swallow. But then you get to the almost end of the rainbow and you look back and you're like, wow, that was a journey. However, we surpassed all of it. We got the surgeries done to remove the fibroids. We got the surgery done to get the first fallopian tube out. We had the next surgery to get the next fallopian tube out. Went back to have more fibroids removed. Then to find out we had to have more things removed. It was like always something. And so, oh gosh, this video is the camera's gonna down me. But anyways, it was always something, and it was just one of those things where I look back and I'm just so appreciative that we were able to get through it, because it was a lot. It was a lot going through all of that. It was a lot, all the appointments, back to back. And then once we got to the point where we found out, oh my gosh, jobs covered it, you're like, oh my gosh, like seriously, this is really working for me. You get to that point. You get to the point of hope. You get to the point of you can see where things will come into play for you to have a baby, and like I said, there was a point in time when I was like, this is just not gonna happen. I was really waiting and asking God for a miracle. I mean, miracle with no tubes. It was with one tube. I was like, Lord, please use that one tube and make it happen, because I didn't think for a chance that IVF was gonna be covered through a job, through the insurance. I had no clue. And I don't know what made me actually go and look through I think when I was getting ready to change from my husband's insurance to my insurance, and I was reading, it was like 100% IVF for transfers, implantation. I was like, what? And so when I brought it to my doctor's office and I had one of the finance people read over it and check out and put the insurance in, she was like, oh my gosh, this is so rare. She was like, you have 100% coverage in everything. Your surgeries are covered, your medications are covered, your transfers are covered, your retrieval is covered. She was like, this is rare. She's like, you better go ahead and get it while you can. Then I ended up losing the job about a month after I found out, that I had the insurance. And man, when I say I was just, my hair is tickling me on my back. When I say I was just heartbroken, I was heartbroken. So when I found out that, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a possibility that I can actually, look at insurances and see that they cover it. Because when I went to the doctor's office, nobody told me that there was insurance to cover. It was like, this is the amount of how it is and so forth. So, that was that. But in the end, now that I know all the things that I know now, that's why I want to be this informative person to let everybody know, because like I said, there's gonna be women coming up, getting married, trying to get pregnant, and then have to go down that same journey that most of us ladies had to go down. And they're like, well, how is this gonna happen? How's this gonna happen? This and the third. What there's videos out there that tell you now there's jobs you can get, whether you go and apply and then quit after you get pregnant. There's jobs you can get. There's you know, all these different options out there now, you know, payment plans, payment options, loans, you know, all kind of discounts that's out there now, because I feel like it's more known. When I first started, I looked at maybe about 3 or 4 women that was going through it. Either some of them had a previous loss. This was their maybe first or second time doing this. They didn't produce enough eggs. It was always a different situation. Nobody's situation is just alike. Everybody's a little bit different. That's why these videos that everyone's putting out, you know, if you're thinking about putting out a video and you're like, I don't know about this, your situation may be different from mine. And they may need that little input to say, hey, that's my situation. Now I know what to do. Even if you put in the comments below anytime and put what your situation is, they can read the comments and say, hey, you know what? I know that that's me. That's what I'm going through, and I can get through this, or I can get this done and get, you know, so it gives them a little ounce of hope. And so, like I said, I never knew that all this stuff was available to everyone. You know, the discounts on the medication, the coverage, even if it's 50%, 60%, 90%, 100%, it's coverage. It's coverage. You know, the ones that are 100%, I know of for sure, 100%, not just, oh, well, if you have a retrieval or if you have this. No, 100% everything. Bank of America, and at the time it was Kaplan College. I think it's like Britain College or something now. I don't know. But yeah, get on. You know what I mean? Like, get those jobs. Those jobs actually start coverage, I think, the day of. And if it's not the day of start work, it would be 30 days later. Very quick. So what I'm saying, guys, is that, you know, looking back on the situation, I never knew how important it was to be that person, to have that much information to put out. I never knew that there was even any information at first. Like, I was just in the dark just like everybody else at first, until I started going on Google. You know, when Google became really popular and everybody just put in Google, I Googled everything. And then all of a sudden I started finding YouTubes, and that's when I started looking at stuff, reading, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so there's a possibility. And at first it was heartbroken. I was heartbroken because I was like, wow, these women are going through IVF. How are they able to, you know, afford it? Like, at that time, you know, me and my husband, we wasn't bringing in enough to cover no IVF or FET cycle. It was like, you know, and it was a lot, you know. And that kind of brings me to my next point, is that I really appreciate everyone that gave their comments. If you have not seen the last video where I asked you if you would, you know, consider discounted IVF, because I am trying to get, I am working with someone to try and see what more can be offered to us. You know, this is a very delicate situation. This is not like, oh, I can't afford to go and have, you know, this done, or I can't afford to go and travel, I can't afford. No, this right here, it's a timing thing. You can't just wait until you have the money. Just like someone said, you know, payment plans are good, but for those that are up in age, that have eggs that may not last that long, or that are disintegrating, or that's not as healthy or not as strong or good quality, what about for them? You know, and that's a good point. It's like, payment plans are good, but, you know, it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like, they can't, I would think, I haven't spoken with the person I need to speak with just yet about all the comments and suggestions. However, you know, I'm wondering if it's kind of like, it can't be like a car, because a car they can come pick up. You know, if you go through this and you're doing a procedure and you had a baby, they can come pick up the baby and say, hey, you ain't paid your stuff. So in a sense, I can see how that, you know, would not work while you're doing a cycle. But like I'm seeing a lot of people mention, what about a payment plan itself with no interest, or a payment plan itself, you know, to get this taken care of, you know, where they can deduct money from your account, or either you make a payment on it, or anything like that. Or even I've seen one person put on there, which is a very good idea, you know, trade for trade, or, you know, something of that nature, donate for donate. You know, hey, I donate, you know, eggs and I get a discount for something else. I mean, so there was some very good ideas on there, and I feel like, you know, we are that generation right now, that IVF generation, that is going to be so helpful to those that are coming up, you know. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to share this information and get this information to y'all and so forth. Like, I really am. And I just kind of, like I said, all this just boils down to, I just never knew there were so many other women, so many other couples that were that devoted to getting a baby. You know, like my husband, he would say, baby, if you ever wanted to stop, you know, then I would be fine. I would be, oh, and I know the sun want to shine out bright. You know, I'm going to be fine, you know, this and that. I wouldn't. I try to be okay with it and stuff like that. But I don't know if I would get to that point where I would be like, okay, you know what? Whatever. I'm done. I'm happy. I'm content. I'm content to a certain extent. Don't get me wrong. I am content. However, that longing is probably going to be there for a while if it was ever a point where we exhausted all of our means, exhausted all of our embryos, and in every, you know, every avenue, any avenue. And like I said, I just didn't know that, I didn't know that it was more of me out there. Like, there are more of me out there, you know. The person that's looking at this right now, you know, don't know how they're going to go through IVF, don't know how they're going to, you know, afford it, how they're going to afford the medication. But I kid you not, we was in that same boat. We didn't know how I was going to be able to afford medication. We didn't know how I was going to be able to afford IVF. Even after we had our losses and so forth, it still was all about money. You know, not to the clinic itself, but it was to us. It was like, man, here we go again. We got to figure out how we're going to be able to come up with X, Y, and Z funds, you know, and so forth. So it was always about money to us. And like I told my husband, I said, I'm so tired of putting in money and so forth, you know, for these transfers and so much money into the storage fees itself, you know. So that part, you know, is a little bit exhausting. However, like I said, there's so many of us out there to where everybody's situation is a tad bit different. But I found so many women out there and couples out there where we were so alike and so similar till we can relate on so many levels, and so forth. And, you know, we have to continue to support each other. My plans, after we have our baby or babies, our plan is to continue to stay connected. You know, I know there's a lot of people that do this during their journey and then that's it, you know, and I want to be that person to continue to help by any means, you know, whether it's reaching out like I'm doing now, you know, to my clinic to see what else can I do for my subscribers and other, you know, couples out there, because it gets to the point where sometimes we do exhaust all our means. We do exhaust every avenue and we're like, okay, I'm backed in the corner. What can I do? I'm out of money. I didn't got my car taken. I almost got my house taken. Every other bill is late except this IVF thing. I'm trying to hurry up and do this. And then by the time you had a baby, you don't have no money to take care of the baby. You know, and that's the part I kind of laugh at, because I'm like, you know, there should be some type of assistance or something for those that are going through IVF. You didn't pay all this money, and there should be something like a tax break or something where it's like, okay, you didn't pay all this money to IVF and you should get something back in return, you know, something, you know, something of that nature. And it should be something, you know, I mean, a guaranteed baby, yeah, that's fine. But when you get that baby or babies, you're like, well, you know what? I didn't spend over $40,000. I didn't spend all my savings for a house. I didn't spend all my savings for a car, whatever the case may be, what you're saving for. You know, their educational funds is exploited because we, you know, using that just to pay for them to be born, you know. So it's like, man, like we put all this money into it and, you know, you get your baby, but when you get your baby, you're like, well, shoot, now I gotta save up more money for the educational fund. I gotta save up for this, save up for that. I gotta buy this, I gotta buy that, you know. So you know, already, you know, it's one of those situations that just sometimes it just don't make sense, you know. It just doesn't make sense how much money we have to put into it just to get something out, to go back and be like, man, it's tough. The woman has to go, you know, be off of work a certain amount of weeks, then go back, try and get, you know, more money. I mean, it's just so much, you know. And so I wish it would be someone that can create a system to where if you had to go through IVF and you have conceived that year, on your taxes, you should get a kind of like you do like earned income credit. You should get an IVF earned income credit, right? Hey, if you can make that happen, make it happen. But anyway, guys, I am blinking, so I'm about to be cut off. But I want to say thank y'all so much for all of your input, all of your comments that you left on the last video. Continue to give me feedback, y'all. Continue to let me know what works for y'all. What do y'all want from me? What do y'all want from any clinic? Let me know your suggestions. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Please share. There's women that need this information. Share on your Facebook, your Instagram, wherever. Share it. But anyway, I'm going to go, y'all, before it cuts off. Hope y'all have a wonderful day. Happy New Year's. Bye. I went today and he always talking about this little boy named Aiden, and so I was like, okay, but it didn't ring a bell to me. So I went there, I handed out the stuff, did my little homeroom mom stuff. Why I'm red? Looks like I'm red around